No, you can't because I haven't got the microphone switched on. Can you hear me now? Is anybody actually here at the moment? Can you just confirm that you can hear me? That would be so cool. I can see that there are 2 viewers at the moment, and I'm wondering if you can actually hear me. Yes, no? Well, I'll press on anyway, just in case. Excellent. Thank you, Daniel, and welcome. I don't know, Daniel, did you come to the last one? Um, it's a little bit haphazard, and we do have a couple of items of housekeeping before I go on. I've got the cable, the Ethernet cable plugged in, but when I actually tested it, I didn't have the cable plugged in. So, you got to forgive me, I'm a bit old. I forgot to plug the cable in. So when I was testing it in 1080, it was dropping out, and I thought, no, the cable hasn't solved it. So I put it into 720 and then tested it in 720 and thought, oh, this is working well. And then suddenly realized, oh my goodness me, I haven't got the cable plugged in. So plugged the cable in and it got even faster. So maybe I just was running out of time setting it up, so I just thought, okay, we're just going to leave it in 720 tonight, and I'm looking at the stream quality, and it looks pretty good to me. The stream quality is coming over as excellent. The picture that I'm getting on YouTube, the feed on YouTube, it looks like it's working fine. And so far so good. Sorry it's in 720. I will test it again before Thursday, and hopefully we'll get it into 1080p. I've also got my landlord working on another solution, and hopefully we're going to get there one day. I am very new to streaming, so you'll have to bear with me, I'm afraid. I've also learned that I have to bring my cup of tea with me. Oh, that's nice. Because I do have this dodgy throat. Hey, Raskafar. Is it Raskafar? Hey, good to meet you. And I have got a very, very dodgy cough. And so if I start coughing, then please, I'll try and jump out of the way so that the microphone doesn't pick it up. I've been dousing myself with cough medicine all day, and I think I can't take any more. Otherwise, I might overdose. But hey, Romanes, nice to meet you. Should get promoted. Are we talking about Preston here? Because that is just quite the most crazy save that I've ever been involved in. I couldn't do anything in Scotland, go down to Preston, and I've only lost 1 match in 21. That's like the most unbelievable save I've ever been involved in. And talking about that, you'll say there will be a very interesting episode tomorrow. And as most of you who followed me for a year, you will, if you followed me for over a year, you'll know that there's one aspect of the game that I have a real problem with, and it reared its ugly head again. And I'm going to question, does the game cheat? I don't know if that's too strong a word, but there is one thing in the game that you can't control. Like the game only controls, and I think it uses it as its final weapon. And when it cannot beat you fair and square, it will actually turn. Excuse me. It will turn to its final weapon, which you can't control, and it will use that. I'm questioning it in tomorrow's episode, and we're going to show evidence of it. I've just been editing that tonight for upload tomorrow. So will be an interesting episode for you tomorrow. But in terms of today, we're going to take up from this Burnley save. And last time, as you remember, we just very loosely let the assistant manager choose which way he wanted to play, and I tweaked it up a little bit, not too much for him, didn't really pay much attention, but we let him get on with it, and I wasn't very impressed. And what we do know about him is that tactically he's got attribute of 10. No, not FM'd. I don't believe that you actually get FM'd. There is no such thing as getting FM'd, and I think that if you get into a situation like that, then what you've done is missed something. You don't get FM, you get FM'd, you get outthought. And I've been playing FM since 2011, and when I first began, I used to think I was getting FM'd, that the game was somehow against me and that it didn't want me to win, and I was convinced. Good evening, Alexander from Leeds. Nice to have you along. I'm in Woking, so not too far away. And no, I don't ever believe that people get FM'd. The game is just telling you that you're not doing something right. Something needs to change. And if you ignore that, then you're going to lose. And so when when you're in that situation that you're shooting like 25 shots and you can't score a goal, you're doing something wrong. And the game's just telling you, you need to change something or I'm going to score in a minute. And if you don't actually act on it, then they will beat you. And people think they're getting FM'd, but they're not. It's just you've missed something and you need to find out what you've missed. As soon as you put that right, then you will win the game. But yeah, I don't believe that people get FM. But there is another way that the game, I think, and cheat might be the wrong word. I think it's just the final weapon that it will use against you when it can't work out how to beat you. And the tactic that we've got going here at Preston is almost unbeatable. And it's having a hard time. And so tomorrow's video, we're going to look at that and why I think that it's unfair of FM. I want it changed. If I could possibly get through to them, I'd say change that. It's too obvious. I support Manchester United in real life for my sins, and I've waited a long time for them to start playing properly. So I'm enjoying supporting them at the moment. Fleetwood save, top of the championship. Wow, that's pretty cool to get Fleetwood to the top of the championship. Clear by 15 points. Not bad going. Not bad going at all. So back to Burnley. And we have 7 viewers now. Don't forget, guys, like the video. If you're here and interacting and having a good time, and even if you're not having a good time, like the video because it helps to push out... It helps to push out the video to other people who are not getting it and possibly would like to get it. So the more likes I get, the more chance there is of the algorithm pushing it out to other people who, unlike you, don't have access to it at the moment because they're just not being told about it. And every day I get new subscribers who often comment to me, new subscriber here, or where have you come from? Where have you been hiding? I've never seen this channel before. Likes and comments on the videos help to push it out so that other people get a chance to see it. Some may not want to see it, but those that do get a chance. Thanks for your support, guys. And if you are new and you're a first-time visitor, click that subscribe button, give us a like, and all that stuff that people tell you is good for the channel. Back to Burnley, and what we did, as I said last time, we let the assistant manager set up this tactic, and at the end of the game against the under-21s, I was not very impressed. And I think we beat them 2-0 in the end, and really, really not impressed with how that game had played out. And when I reviewed it back afterwards, it looked even worse. So obviously, this is not going to work for Burnley. This is definitely not going to work. And we have to try and figure out now why this is not going to work. And if we play with this for the rest of the season, we are not going to get promoted. And the club vision says that we are required to get promoted, gain automatic promotion. It's required. And so we have no choice but to get promoted. We're not going to do it with this. We have to figure out why this is not good enough and then what we can do about it. So the way I don't know what you guys do, but the way that I do it is that I start with a vision. How do I want to play the game? What would I like to see on my screen. And of course, everybody is going to want to be Pep. They want to see this short, crisp into passing. They can play wide, launching crosses into the box, players getting on the end of them, attacking midfielders, bursting into the box, firing in shots, long shots going in from distance. We're going to have low crosses from the byline. Oh, everybody's got this vision. Perhaps because other people might have a vision where they want to play a little bit more defensively, a little bit more solid at the back, and play much more on the counter-attack, soak up pressure. You might be a Sean Dyche out there. I know, given that we are, where are we predicted to be? If we can find the league. In the Championship, where is it? Let's go back to... We are predicted to finish in second. So this is obviously a very, very good Burnley team. And if we look at the Media Dream 11, we have 2 players in the Dream 11. And we got Taylor in there, who's actually put as a centre-back there. I wouldn't be playing him as a centre-back. And Brownhill on the wing out here. So we have 2 decent players who are rated highly by the game. And we're also rated highly in terms of where we are going to finish. And so... I think that this team should be playing attacking football. And I think that we should be, because we are better than the others, I think we should be playing in a positive manner. We'll start it off at positive. We might decide later in the season that we want to play more attacking, but I think that's where we want to start. But I know nothing about how they are going to play, and this is what we set up last time in terms of the team instructions, and I've no idea if they can do that. And I don't think that they can actually do that, or maybe some of the instructions that we just set up off the cuff are not actually going to serve them very well. So what we need to do is we're going to flick between 2 screens. I'm going to just go between 2 screens, and I'm going to go to the comparison straight off the bat. And I can see that in terms of age, we are pretty old. We are 25 average age, and we are 15th in the league. We're quite an old set of players, and we did identify that last time, that there are players that possibly need to be moved on as they're getting a bit old. Now, average height is poor. We're not very tall. We're a very small team. And that immediately tells me possibly that crossing the ball into the box is not going to be the best thing that we can do. And in terms of average weight, we're quite light when it comes to weight. And so that probably means that we're not going to be very strong either. So we're old, slow, we're old, short, and not very strong. And that's what I know about the team at the moment. So I'm going to go through all the different attributes, basically, and then I'm going to have normally a notebook here, and I'm going to be making some notes as when I go through each of these positions. So we're going to start with the defense. And in terms of the general look of the defense, it's actually not bad. We have good marking, very, very good at marking. And I tell you what, I'm not going to use my notebook. Why don't you guys make notes for me so that I can remember what's going on here? We are very good tacklers, very good at marking. We are good at positioning. And we have reasonable pace and acceleration. In fact, we have good pace and acceleration. And this is just for the defense. So I'm thinking that we can be playing a fairly high line. If they want to play balls over the top, they're going to have to be fairly accurate, because we are pretty good. Maybe we shouldn't be playing a high line, because heading and jumping reach isn't great. It's pretty poor. Because, of course, I forgot we're not very tall and not very strong. So we have to think about from this screen where we're going to put our line. And I probably would start the line. I'd play higher up, I think, but only higher up, not much higher up, because we have a decent amount of pace and balls over the top, then we should be able to cover those balls over the top. Yeah, interesting, isn't it, that the average height is so small? Because you always think of Burnley as a good heading team. And not in this save, it's not. So, yeah, we can clearly see. And then we're going to look at the midfield. And the midfield looks very, very strong. The midfield looks like something that we should be focused on. And so maybe the idea, if we look at the tactic and we switch back to the tactic, maybe we should be strengthening up the midfield, or maybe we should be looking at a 4-3-3, or even a much more positive style of playing, that kind of 4-3-3. But I think probably at this point in time, I think we should probably give the defence a little help and put in a DM. And so that's what we're looking at the moment. If we look at things in terms of attack, we're not so great. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to score goals. And one of the problems immediately I can see is that our finishing is very, very poor. So for me, if your finishing is very, very poor, then what I need to be doing is work the ball into the box. There's no point, if the finishing is poor, there's no point from shooting everywhere. I need to get the ball into the box so that our strikers have much more of an opportunity from near the goal rather than from outside the box or too far out or at strange angles. So somehow I've got to figure out how to get the ball near the 6-yard line to the penalty spot. Heading and jumping, that tells me that we're going to need to play low crosses. So this is how I'm going to go and fill this in. So we're going to play low crosses, and that's how we're going to work that out. And in terms of the rest of it, good pace, good acceleration. So what we might be thinking of doing is using that pace. If we can't finish very well, then yeah, let's use the pace of the forwards. And they have got very, very good pace and acceleration. So maybe it might be an idea that we'll pass it into space. We'll take those out and that out because we haven't considered that yet. So the moment and width is something that we have to think about. Now, ideally, playing with wingers, I'd wanna play really wide. But can we do that? What do we need in order to be able to play wide? Hey, SDS, good to see you. And just while I remember, thank you so much for your generous donation. I just couldn't believe it when I got that message and I logged in to take a look at it. That was absolutely awesome, mate. And I'm so made up with that. Fantastic. You're one of the kindest people that I've ever come across. And we'll take this out and take that out. At the moment, I don't know enough about them. And when we finish the tactic, we'll talk about these things a little bit. So talking about wing play, I kind of like thinking that if you want to play wing play very well, you have to play wide. You have to stretch their defense to the point that they're going to want to play compact against you. So you're going to need to stretch them out a little bit. But in order to do that, you have to be able to do that. So if we go back and have a look at our ability to play wide, you've got to think about what do you need. Well, you need good passing. You need to have a team of good passers. And so if we look at our technical ability, and then we try and find passing down here somewhere. Passing, we are absolutely superb. And the reason why you need good passing is if you're going to be playing out wide, then it's a longer distance that the ball has to travel. So they're going to need to be fairly accurate with their passing. But they're also going to carry that out, they're also going to need good technique. And what have we got here? in terms of, we find the technique, where are we going to find it? In terms of technique, it's a team full of players who have excellent technique. And so all in all, looks good. And our players could probably spread the ball out wide quite easily. And playing with wingers, that would stretch the play and stretch their defence out, creating space, which our strikers hopefully then can manage, and will create space for our very poor finishers up front. We're trying to maximise in what we're setting up. I'm trying to maximise what we're good at, and then looking at where we're not good. And so I can see great passing, and unfortunately, though, finishing is very, very poor, and heading is very, very poor. We've got to get it near to the goal. So if we're going to play wide passing, we're also going to need players who are going to be able to get into space to receive that ball. So we need to go and have a look at the team as a whole, and we need to look at their mentals, because now I'm looking at how good is their off the ball. And it's below average. It's not great. So if you're spreading the ball around and the players have not got good off the ball, and they are not going to be able to move into positions. It's rather like the American quarterback is standing there waiting for somebody to run into space, but then he gets a bunch of defenders crashing into him and breaks his neck. And unless people are capable of moving into these positions where, like the quarterback, I guess, the DLP or whatever you've got, can actually get the ball to them, then probably now, when I was thinking that wide might be a good way for Burnley to play, I'm probably now thinking perhaps a more standard width would fit them wide, would fit them better, rather than playing all the way out there, because they simply don't have the off the ball to deal with that. So in the early days, I'll probably just start fairly wide, because I think they've got the ability to actually to do that, but probably not the ability to actually play really wide. Now, having looked at the team stuff, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into the units and how well we look and how good we look in terms of each individual part of the pitch. So I'm going to look at first. Well, let's look at the goalkeepers. Why not? And see what the goalkeepers are all about. And in terms of their physicals, good fitness. And unfortunately, we have small goalkeepers as well. The jumping reach isn't very good. It's going to tell us a lot. Do we actually want teams to be crossing high balls into the box when the goalkeepers are very poor at jumping and balance? But they, again, do have very, very good pace. Goalkeepers do have very good pace. So I'm immediately thinking from this, sweeper keeper, possibly even on support. That will depend on how good their technicals are. And if we look at their technique, what I'm actually looking for here is their tackling. If we're going to have a sweeper keeper on support, he's going to be out of his box a lot, so he's going to need to be able to tackle, and they're actually not bad. They have good passing, so that's a good sign, and they have good, decent throwing. So I'm probably more likely to have them play the ball off the floor than I am to get them than I am to get them throwing the ball. And their first touch is very good. So really I'm looking at a sweeper keeper. Dribbling is actually very good for goalkeepers. Actually, I've got defenders and midfielders on here. So that will change things. Technically, they're very, very good. Passing is pretty good for a goalkeeper. They have, this is very strange, good heading for goalkeepers. But in terms of their physicals, and the goalkeepers' physicals, which is very, very important, then they have good jumping reach. So, yeah, goalkeepers are very, very good. They're not very agile, not very balanced. Acceleration is limited. Pace. So I think probably actually looking at all these things, Anticipation is quite good. Vision is fairly good. I think, yeah, probably I'm going to be looking at playing in this tactic. Probably going to be looking at playing a sweeper keeper, maybe even on support. That could change depending on where I place the lines. And at the moment, I've no idea where to press the lines. I'm favouring that we go for a higher line and a high press. It just depends whether or not this team can actually press very well. So I'm going through these things one by one, and that's how I'm going to to set it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at the defenders. And the defenders, technically, they look very, very good. So I'm thinking just from that screen that we'd have one ball-playing defender in there somewhere, and we'll probably have a central defender. I'm looking for their passing ability. They have good passing ability. They also have a decent crossing ability. They're good dribblers. They're above average in most things except for heading. So we do have to be very careful about having teams cross the ball into the box. And in terms of the midfield, what I'm looking for is their creativity. So we'll have a look at their mentals. And one of the things that stands out is they have good concentration. They're not going to drift away from their position. They've got pretty much good concentration. In terms of flair, they're not bad. So, but not absolutely brilliant, but they do have a good degree of flair. And this here is one of the most important attributes, I think, in the whole game: decision making. And this will affect how I set the tactic up when it comes to pressing. And because they are good decision makers, then pressing can be left to them. So we don't need to be constantly running around and like headless chickens. We can actually, rather than instruct them on pressing all the time, we can actually let them decide when they think it's best to press. So that's quite an important little thing. And we might go back to the tactics and look at this press. We may even just slightly more often. And what that will do is take down the intensity. It will save energy. They can decide when it's best to press. I think this trap inside, at the moment, I will leave that off, and I'll leave stop crosses off. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because if you put those on in the early days, they're going to train to do that. And that means you've actually got nothing to tweak. So, and it's going to take, if you've got them, like, say, on get stuck in, they're going to train during pre-season, all diving into tackles and getting stuck in. And it's going to become second nature. And then you start the season and you come up against a really strong opposition, and you then click on stay on your feet. They're going to have a problem adapting to that. So I tend to leave these off at the moment, and just we'll tweak those as we go along and as we see what unfolds. In terms, we've got a bunch of friendlies coming up. It's a chance to have a look to see how it works by itself and what we need to alter. So we're getting there. So we're going to have a high pressing line. We're going to play a higher defensive line, and in transition I think we should be counter pressing because we are playing high. We're going to counter, always have that one on. Hold shape. You're never going to break at all. We want to try and catch them on the break. If they lose possession, we want to turn that around as quick as possible. Distribute quickly or slow the pace down. I will just leave. I don't want to have them trained again in that respect. I think we are probably, because we have decent defenders, we're going to play out from the back. So we will just roll it out or kick it out. We'll have a look at our goalkeeper, who is Muric. and what's his kicking? Where's his kicking? He has throwing of 12 and kicking of 8. So I really don't want him kicking the ball, to be fair. And so we're going to have the goalkeeper just do things very short. We're just going to have him kicking. We're just going to, no kicking. Thank you very much. We're going to have him roll the ball out to someone in the back line. And it's like just figuring out what can they do and what can't they do. And in terms of passing directness, they can play wider, and I think I want them, because the passing range is going to be a little bit wider than normal. I want them to play slightly shorter. We're not like going to a Pep Guardiola with a shorter passing, or even a much shorter passing and a lower tempo. We want the game to have a little bit of tempo, and so we're probably going to start with a slightly higher tempo, because we can always tweak it from there. And we'll see how that goes. Slightly higher tempo, slightly shorter passing. You'll find that they are passing the ball around, and it will look pretty at times. This is what I use with Preston. If you're watching the Preston save, it's slightly shorter, slightly higher. And when I was recording some of the recent videos, they are passing the ball around absolutely beautifully at the moment. It looks like Barcelona. So it is a short passing style. It's a slightly higher tempo. We don't want them hanging on to the ball. We're going to be attacking, and we want them to actually be able to pass the ball around, move it quickly from back to front. And so these as well, we're going to leave blank for the moment. Dribble less, run at defense, be more expressive, be more disciplined. I'll figure those out as we go along. We need then to look at the player roles. And one of the things that we need to look at, we'll go to the assistant again, and we'll do a quick pick, and we'll see what he thinks in terms of the team. And as a pressing forward, he's got Ashley Barnes up there. And as a pressing forward on attack, he might do a very good job as a pressing forward on attack. He's very aggressive, and if you're going to play a pressing forward, he needs to have good aggressive. I mean, if you're going to press, you have to be able to do it. And you need aggression, you need teamwork, you need to have a good work rate. And if you look at these attributes, he's got them in abundance. The only problem that he has is his acceleration. He's getting on a bit, 32 years old. And if you're going to have a pressing forward, he really needs to have he doesn't need pace, but he needs to be quick off the mark. But he ticks most of the boxes, so he isn't a bad player to have as a pressing forward. If we actually change that to an advanced forward, he's not going to do the job because he doesn't have the pace. And in a 4-3-3, if you play an advanced forward, he might find himself a little bit isolated. So maybe that's not the best choice, as would be an advanced forward. So we'll keep it on that, pressing forward. And then to balance, I mean, it's very important that you have a team that is balanced. And so on one side, we'll have a fullback on attack. On the other side, it'll be a fullback on support. Wingback, fullbacks, they're personal choices. I like to play a fullback because the starting position is lower down. And wing-backs will generally start around the halfway line and be bombing up and down. But the attacking fullback, especially if he's got good decisions, and if we look at Vitinha here, and we bring up Vitinha's attributes, if we look at his decisions, he has 12 decisions, perfectly adequate for the championship. He will decide when it's best for him to bomb up, and we can let him decide that. But his starting position will always be just a little bit further back than a wing back, just in case the transition happens and we lose the ball. So I prefer to play fullbacks than wing backs. I mean, I don't know, guys, what do you prefer to play, wing backs or fullbacks? I don't know. Let me know. I just like fullbacks because their starting position is a bit lower, and there's a little bit of cover in this area should the ball be transitioned. That's just personal, and I've built many teams on this defensive being solid at the back. And I always, as a cricketer, used to believe that the best form of attack was defence. You've got to get me out. I'm not going anywhere. So I play Football Manager with the same kind of philosophy. And then we got to look at the roles. Now I wanted a ball player in there. Do we have a decent ball player? Not really. We don't really have. So I guess we would start with central defenders. McNally, let's have a look at him. Passing is pretty poor, actually, his passing. So we may even have to adjust his personal instructions. And we have 10, passing 10, vision 7. So we don't really have a decent ball-playing defender. And that's another reason why it might be useful to have a little bit of support at the base of the midfield, because we're not going to be having people stepping out with the ball, and they're going to need to find support in midfield. How we organise the midfield, we'll let the players decide. We have a good ball-winning midfielder. He's a very, very good ball-winning midfielder. He's also a good halfback. And so I guess it comes down to personal preferences. My personal preferences for this role, if he's going to support the the defence at the top of the defence, I'd have him winning the ball. Get him there. He's a very good ball-winning midfielder. Put him there to win the ball. But we do need a playmaker, and so it's probably right to have a DLP. Now, he's not the best DLP in the world, and I don't know why he's sitting in the team. If that's the best DLP that we've got, then we are in serious trouble. And we need to be looking for a DLP. Josh Cullen is a box-to-box. Can play DLP, has passing 14, but his vision isn't what I would expect. I'm not quite sure what the assistant has done. We're probably looking at tweaking the team. The assistant has absolutely no idea what he's doing here. We have Goodmanson, he can't play in midfield. We may be looking in the transfer market for a DLP. Bastian is a deep-lying playmaker, and at the moment he seems to be the best that we've got. So we'll put Bastian in there. And his attributes, passing 14, vision 13, it's adequate for this level. He's not going to set the world on fire, though, I don't think. We'll put him on a DLP on support, because we are attacking and we have enough defensive roles and support roles in order to be able to defend well. And then this one. And one of my main concerns would be that we don't have enough in terms of going forward. And so this is easy. We're going to have him as a central mid on attack. Could even think about playing him as a Mazzala on attack. But but just for now, I think just have him in this space. I've got a winger at the moment on the right, and I don't really want him getting into his space. So I just think of the central mid on attack, bombing into the box might be a good idea. We're going to find that the DLP will venture into these areas, and this may be a problem in terms of the fact they might get in each other's way. We'd have to look at that, and maybe we might also be looking at playing maybe a winger on this side. But we've got to bear in mind that we can't head the ball. And if we can't head the ball, then we got to make sure our crossing is top class. So at the moment, we will just keep him on an inverted winger on support. Our winger on attack, do we need to have him as a winger on attack? He is an inverted winger, and we're asking him to play as a winger when his right foot isn't as strong as his left. So maybe what we are looking at is playing him as an inverted winger on attack. And maybe we'll have our winger, if we have one, we'd have to look at that later. If we have a winger, then we could switch this over to a winger. There's nothing wrong with having an inverted winger and an inside forward. He can't play, though, as an inside forward. Yes, he's pretty decent as an inside forward. I'd worry perhaps about his finishing, which is only 7, which is not brilliant. So maybe we might have to switch these around. It's all at the moment playing with things. Can he play as an inside forward on attack? And then we'll have a look at his finishing, a little bit better. It's not a great team up front, and there is a need to do something about that, because we're not going to be scoring lots of goals, and that's why there is a need to get this as near to the box as we possibly can. So having both of them coming inside might be a good idea. And if we then check how that impacts, do we want to be playing fairly wide when our wingers are actually going to be coming inside? Probably not. We want to keep it fairly narrow, and then we could go for a wider formation and have them sit narrower. Doesn't really matter. We want them to be near to the penalty area because they're both now going to be coming inside. And that then makes us think about this role. How is he going to fit into all that? Because now we're just going to be compressing this area of the pitch. It's going to be very, very congested. And maybe at a later stage, we might be looking at an advanced forward who can go into the channels and just stretch it out a little bit, because at the moment he's just going to sit in this area here and it's all going to get very congested. We'll have to see how it pans out, because at the moment, although this Burnley team has a lot of very decent players, in terms of the way they could work together, it's quite limited. And that's the thing about FM. It's never going to make it easy for you. You're going to have to figure it out. But at the moment, I'm fairly happy with that. We need to go through and tweak basically we need to tweak their instructions a little bit. He has lots of flair, and he has decent passing. If he's got good flair, I'm going to tell him to take more risks. And shoot less often, because his shooting, as we saw, was absolutely dreadful. In terms of his dribbling, he's got awesome dribbling. So he's already on dribble more. So why not have him dribbling and running at the team? We might even look at that. If we have a lot of good dribblers here, we might also think about having the team instruction dribble more. But at the moment, just getting the players to play as they best can play is enough. This guy over here, good crossing, excellent dribbling. So again, we're going to want him to dribble more, probably shoot less often. And I think maybe what'd be nice for this guy would be to have him roam from his position, because we do have this centre mid who's going to operate in this area. So it does give him a little bit of license to roam from his position, because we will have the cover from the centre mid on attack here and from the BMW behind him. So on this side, it got a little bit of license to move about. And fullbacks, very, very important to get them right. Excellent dribbling. He's obviously a good player to have. His crossing is a bit suspect again. So I think that in terms of this, I want him to take fewer risks. I don't like my fullbacks taking a lot of risks, but his dribbling is excellent, so I want him to dribble more. And in terms of the right back, where's his attributes? Good crossing, good dribbling. I may be now thinking that these should be switched over. So we'll put the fullback on attack, Vitinha fullback on support, and switching them over now means we'll switch this winger as a inverted winger on support. We'll have the inside forward on attack this side, and then switch over the DLP. The DLP will support this side. They need to be switched over, don't they? So the DLP will support this side, and then Brownhill as the central mid on attack. He will be getting up front here. And so the best I can do at the moment, based on the information that's available to me, we just need to pick the best 11 now and see how that gets on in the next friendly. I think we have a friendly coming up in a couple of days, 4 days or so. We have a friendly coming up, so we'll have to see how that works out. We will then do a match review on Sunday. Now, I don't know, guys, do you do match reviews? It's because, like, everybody puts it in their training schedule, but actually, do you do them? And, like, I think as managers of FM, we should have a schedule. And on Sunday, it says you meet with the players and you have a match review. And so I think that it's really important on when Sunday clicks over that you go and have a look back at how the game went and analyze what actually happened. And it's easy to do that. We have a look at how we played, then we get a bunch of analytical data. I mean, we've got to look at this for a start. How many shots we took from outside the penalty area? Absolutely dreadful. We can see that we weren't focused down the middle, that we were focused down both flanks. Looking at the heat map, it's all concentrated in there. And perhaps playing too narrow, perhaps we do need to stretch it out a little bit. We can have a look at things in more detail. We can do a really good review of how we actually played. And we can have a look at the past combinations. And this guy seemed to be looked for. Jordan Bayer, he was somebody that the goalkeeper really looked for. And then he was combining quite nicely with Josh Cullen in midfield. It was also the right centre-back was passing nicely, but not receiving anything back. Most of the pass were coming from the full-back into Harwood Bellis. I do remember that game now. Harwood Bellis looked very good to me, looked very comfortable. The left side, Charlie Taylor, he was very high up. And we have, obviously, this fullback on support. Charlie Taylor, unfortunately, though, didn't get involved much in the game and never seemed to link up very well. And something that it needs to happen is that he is linking up in that nice little triangle, but he was pretty much ignored. And we need to find out why that was actually happening, what actually happened there. And we can't have this fullback bombing up and down the pitch and nobody looking for him. So we need to figure out why that wasn't happening. And we will have a match review after that. We play OH Louvren. They are a 3-star team. So we shouldn't be taking them too lightly either. It's somebody's Kevin Finbar-Long's testimonial. So we shouldn't be taking them too lightly, otherwise they will do us in, because they're a very, very good team. And so we just work our way through now a couple of days. I don't know if you've ever noticed that when that screen comes up and gives you some advice. It actually says underneath you suggested training. Have you ever noticed that? Do you ever click on it? When he's actually giving you the team report, it actually says down here at the bottom, use suggested training. And I've never clicked on it because I've always setting up my training. If I go to the schedules that we made last time, we have this one per week. I've always got a day where they are preparing for the weekend. So these 2 slots here will be filled in with stuff that I need to think about in terms of the opposition. You usually get the opposition reports in Tuesday or Wednesday, so you've got time to fill that in on Wednesday. I wonder what would happen to that. I've never clicked it, and I do wonder what would happen to that if the assistant manager was instructed to fill that in. Never given my training to the assistant manager. I've never had one good enough to be able to handle it. Tactical knowledge isn't great among the assistant managers on FM, so I always handle training. And you notice here also in my training, I've got 2 sessions, and this will happen every time there is a 1 per week. Attacking free kicks, attacking corners. Hey, Gobby, nice to see you, mate. Gobby has, I don't know if you know, Gobby has a channel here. He's from Preston, I believe, which is quite interesting because my save is at Preston. And he's got a little save over there. So if you've got 20 minutes spare when you're not watching my nonsense, go over and show the love. And he's a really nice chap. And nice to have you along, Gobby. Really nice to have you along. And I've always got this in, and there's all these theories about how you become good at set pieces. It's not in how you set them up. You could leave it in the default, and if you train them every available Wednesday, they will become good at set pieces. And it's like anything in life. If your supporters are saying, and the board is saying, they want to be accomplished or make the most of free kicks, then train them. And this is what I call Supporters Day, because if the supporters were wanting to play slow passing game, then we'd put sessions in here for Supporters Day that involve slow passing. So this is my Supporters Day, this is my Opposition Day, and this is where the physicality will actually go in, and the real training will take place at the beginning of the week. It's very simple to set up. But my supporters, all through this save at Elgin, at Livingston, and now at Preston, they want me to make the most of set pieces. If you do this every Wednesday, then eventually they will be delighted, because you will become very, very good at set pieces. And even this Preston team, the fans are delighted about how many goals they're scoring from set pieces. And I'm only using an old FM22 near post routine, which the game engine is totally misinterpreting, because we get lots of goals from the far post as well. So I'm not setting up anything special in the tactics sections of it. I'm just training them. And we don't even have great free kick takers or corner takers. It's just, you train somebody at it, they will get better at it. So that's why that is in there, because it's what the fans and the board want. But getting back to, I've lost my thread where I was, but if I click the back button, hopefully we'll get there. Talking about assistant managers, and we have now a little bit of a tactic that we've set up. It's probably not the best tactic in the world, but it's going to do for now. It's not packed full of stuff. I don't intend to have it packed full of stuff. It's very, very simple, and we want to keep it simple for now. I want the players are, as we saw earlier, they are extremely good. They are extremely good in terms of decision making. I don't need to complicate it for them. They will make the right decisions themselves. And I have to trust them that they're going to be, especially in terms of pressing, that they're going to be able to make the right decisions. If we'd actually go back to that comparison, we can have a look maybe as a team as a whole in terms of their physicals. What we're going to need is fitness, and they have the highest natural fitness. We're going to need stamina. We're going to need aggression. We're very, very aggressive. That's no problem. We're going to need anticipation. We're going to need teamwork. They're very, very good at the things that are required for pressing. Work rate, determination. We just need to look at the pace and acceleration. The acceleration they have, they're a very, very good pressing team. That doesn't necessarily mean now that I want to go to my tactic and bang this up right to the top. All that is going to do is absolutely knacker them. And I don't want them to be knackered. So we could put it there, but I think even here would be good. Trigger press when you think it is the right time to do so, and they trust them that they have the best decisions in the league. So trust the players that they will do that, and then lower the intensity so that they can that they're not running around like headless chickens, and that will do our stamina, our natural fitness, the world of good, and preserve energy that we're going to need for when we are later in the season and everybody's falling off. Supposedly, I've just started implementing set-piece training. Interesting to see. It always works. If you train them once a week on both of those things, it always works. It's worked in FM22 all the way through. It's working in 23. The secret, everybody talks about how to set players up, how to set up those little, you know what I'm talking about. We go to set pieces and we go, say, to corners, and like setting up these things and moving these things. This is totally not important. It's really, really not important. I would want to do something about this. I'd want one here. I'd like one at the edge of the box. Probably put my fullbacks on the posts, and I'd like somebody who's a bit quick also on the edge of the box. I'd really like to have two on the edge of the box, because if you notice when you're defending corners, often the ball is lost, we head it out, and there's someone here outside the box on his own picking it up who pings in a long shot. So I like to have two on the edge of the box bombing out. We can set that up on another day. I'm not really that bothered about it at the moment. But really just more focus today on how this team will perform. And the other thing that I have to think about is scouting. And I need to go and have a look at my scouting assignments. And lo and behold, my scouts have been sitting in the office playing Football Manager. They have got no assignments that they're on at all. They've just been sitting playing computer games in the office. Well, now it's time to call them in and say, "Oi, sunshine, pack your bags. You're going on a long holiday." And but we need one, of course, to stay at home. And which one that will be, I'm not quite sure. We need one with good tactical knowledge, the best tactical knowledge and best judging player ability, because I want him to stay at home and scout the next opposition. And if he's got poor tactical knowledge, poor judging player ability, might as well not do it because it's going to be all over the place. Judging player ability, this guy's got good tactical knowledge, but his judging player ability is a bit dubious. In fact, all our scouts look like they're on the way out of the door. We've already sacked the assistant manager. He doesn't know yet. And this guy probably might be the best one at the moment to actually, because his judging player ability is good. Tactical knowledge is very poor. So maybe we'll start him off. So in order to do that, I need to go into responsibilities, scouting, and we're going to be providing scouting opposition reports. We're going to change him to, what was his name again? Forgotten. Nicky Law. We're going to change that to Nicky Law. Where is Nicky Law? There it is. And we'll just change him to Nicky Law. And we'll confirm that. And the others, we need to set assignments, which I will do mostly off camera. But we will take a look at what we're going to do. The scouting is obviously shocking, and we're going to need to replace most of them. We don't have much money in the bank, and our scouting range is Europe. And as we don't have much money, then there's not much point in sending them off all over the world yet. We'll just use Europe as a starting point. So we have, let's pick one of them. Let's go to Alex Chamberlain. He's good knowledge of England. He's terrible judging player ability and potential. He's not very adaptable, but he is quite determined and he is very disciplined. And that might help him and help us a little bit. So really what we want to be doing is telling him that we need him. I need to go back to my staff responsibilities, because it doesn't look like I'm set up to, signing scouts. I'm set up to do it. Why wasn't that actually happening? So let's go back to scouting assignments. I'm on the wrong page now. Go back to our scouting assignments. Why am I not allowed? I can. Let's create a focus for him. We are particularly interested in finding a striker. But at this point in time, I want them to do some very general scouting. I'm particularly looking for loans are no good to me at the moment, so just transfers. And I really want free transfers if I possibly can. So I'm just going to take any position from the tactic, and my tactic isn't even showing up here. So at the moment, it's not working out for me. So we'll just go any position, and basically we will go for transfer only. And I want first team players from him. I don't want second team players, potential of 4. We're going to go for 15 to 25, and the area to scout in, I want him to be scouting a region, and we're going to push him a little bit to UK and Ireland. We're going to have a look what's available in the UK and Ireland. That's going to keep him busy, get him out of the office, and we'll click OK, and we'll see what he comes up with in the next few weeks. So we've got Chamberlain sorted out. Off camera, I will do the rest. Some of them, like this guy, Katja, he knows Albania very well. Interestingly enough, and Italy. What we might do is maybe we'll send him off to Italy. Pack your bags. You're going on holiday. Off you go to Italy. So we'll sort something out for all of them. We have Nicky Law doing the next opposition. So we have 5 to assign. Question for Phil and chat. Do you think that a DLP and an AP playing on different lines can work? Or is it better to pick only one playmaker? I personally would only have one playmaker, but there is an argument that you can use 2. If I was going to use 2, and I don't know what the rest of you in chat would say, I'd probably be looking at an attacking midfielder as the second playmaker. I wouldn't want my 2 playmakers too close together. If we're going to look at the tactics, if you've got a ball playing, say you've got a roaming playmaker here, and then you've got a ball player, they're right next to each other, and so your team are going to be looking for them, and they're going to get a little confused as to which one they need to look for. But however, actually we might put that ball winning midfielder on support. I think we're strong enough for him to be going forward as much as possible as well. But if you were playing in a 4-2-3-1, you could probably have him as a DLP and have him as an advanced playmaker. And what I would do then is separate the lines a little bit so that they're not so close together. But I generally just play one. I don't know, what does anyone else? STS, I try to stick to only one playmaker just for consistency. And I think, if you're following along with the Preston save, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've just worked it out this week why that tactic works. And it works because the DLP he's the only important player that I have in my team, and I have two very good players playing as the DLP, sitting at the back here. So they're playing in that defensive midfield role. And you know it's asymmetric, so he's up here somewhere, and he's sitting in here as a DLP, and we're sitting, because our lines are further back, he's sitting quite deep, and that is causing problems for the opposition, because in order for them to get at him, they are having to come further up the pitch, which is exposing them at the back, and we are using our pace to actually just expose them at the back. Our DLP is involved in everything. You'll see this in tomorrow's video. Every goal we score, somewhere it goes through the DLP, and so I would prefer just to have one. Like STS, I just want one, because your guys are going to look for him as a playmaker. He's the one. He's the go-to man for the rest of your team. Ball winners, they've got to be very, very good. You can't play a ball winner if he's only got 12 tackling. He's going to get himself into trouble. If you've got a ball winner who is extremely good at tackling, I'm going to assume that this guy is extremely good. He's got 14 tackling, and for the championship, that is extremely good. His anticipation is good. His decision-making, which is the most important thing, is extremely good. So that's why I'd play him as a ball winner. It's simply because his decision-making, his ability to think and choose the correct decision as to whether to dive in on someone. You got someone playing here as a ball winner who's got decision making of 8. You really don't want to be doing it, because he's going to make the wrong decisions, and that's when they might get into trouble. Only play a ball winner if you know he's very good at what he does, and he has to have the right attributes in order to play the role. It's the same as in any position. In order to play there, they need the correct attributes to be able to do it. And I still don't know if we've got that right. We have a whole pre-season to figure it out, and we will figure it out. And I will do the match review after the friendly, and I will review it and see what it looks like, and then make some tweaks. And because I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch the what is this? Do you like doing press conferences? Oh my good God. Well, do you like it? What's the question? Can you comment about rumours that Ashley Barnes, when we'll be considering, he's 32 years old. Like, what sort of a question is this? No, I'm not going to be encouraging him to stay. I know what you know. That's what I'm going to say. He has the right to explore his options. I had a chat with Ashley Barnes, and he wants to talk about it. Well, let's talk about it, Ashley. Come on in. And what seems to be the problem here? I'm going to explore my options. Look, son, you're 32 years old. Do I care? I understand your desire to explore your options and won't try to convince you otherwise. Let's keep him happy. And generally, these things are a bit of a lottery, and I don't like those either, because you could so easily upset someone. Just try to go along with them. If they want to leave, say, hey, off you go then, son. And don't upset, especially the top influential players. You'll get yourself into strife. Sometimes I will try one of those, I made the decision because there's a lot of competition for your places, but they'll either respond well or they won't. If they don't respond well, agree with them. Oh, I absolutely agree. On second thoughts, I absolutely agree with you. I hate those things. They're an absolute lottery. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. And I just try to appease them as much as possible. And, confirms the rumours. I don't probably need to do a transfers induction. Goodmanson's back to full health. That's pretty cool. And Brian Klug has agreed to be my assistant manager. I don't know if you can remember him from last time. Does he look like an assistant manager to you? He looks like an assistant manager to me. Look at this. His adaptability to begin with is 19. So if I decide to change things, he's with me all the way. He's a very, very determined person. Very motivating, has good people management skills. He's also a very, very good coach. I really like that. In fact, he's probably one of the guys that I might leave in charge of training. I mean, if we think about training, he's a very, very good coach. He's good at people management. Is very determined. He's adaptable. Has great judging player ability and potential. Great tactical knowledge. He could do the training. He's one of the people that I probably would trust to do the training, but I won't anyway. The only problem with him is that he lacks a little bit of discipline, and he could probably go missing at times, and because his level of discipline isn't very high, so he's likely to be a little bit lackadaisical from time to time. But looking at him, he is an assistant manager. So we'll accept that and get him in to the job. Call him in. What I love about him is that he's adaptable, and if we change things, he will adapt to it. It says asked to recommend a signing. I don't know about you guys, but have you ever found their recommendations? I've never found the recommendations. It says he'll make recommendations in the scouting centre. I have never been able to find any of them. It's really... Alex, how are you doing? What's Klug's star rating in training? 4. What? Where is he? He looks like an assistant manager to me. He's a 3-star reputation. Absolutely all this stuff going on in terms of his coaching. Managerial, absolutely marvellous. I wouldn't have any problems in putting him in as doing the training. He ticks all, even working with youngsters, he's got 20. He ticks all the boxes, apart from he's not very disciplined. It's the only problem. So I have to keep an eye on him. And who is this? We do have a director of football now, Les Reed. Yeah, probably will do a decent job. Has the good knowledge of the game. His mentals, he's also a bit lackadaisical. And we'll have to keep him away from people. But generally has the ability to do the job. Does anybody actually know what a technical director does? Screen freezing. The stream... Oh, at the moment it's saying stream is poor. It's the first time it's given me that message tonight. It's actually saying at the moment it's poor, which is a bit of a shame because it's been good all night. Hopefully it'll kick back in again. It seems to be actually working on my screen. It's just saying that the status is poor. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Just check the cable's plugged in properly. Yeah, it's just having a bad time. The internet's having a bad time at the moment. Okay, let's crack on. Westwood, 32 years old. I don't want to extend his contract. We'll just delay that decision. Do I really want to be extending contracts? 32-year-olds. It's probably better to let him go in the summer. He'll probably be 33 then, and bring somebody in younger, a little bit more development in them. I'm not going to rush in just because it says he's an important player of high value, and just make no decisions at this point. And the same with all this. This is a screen that I hate because every time I do this and click them all, it then won't allow me to instruct the deal. So I have to go through all this. Delay decision. And remember, we got all those coaches and scouts in there, especially the scouts who are not up to the job. So I'm not really wanting to offer them new contracts anyway. So we'll just go through all these and delay decisions. We'll make decisions when the contracts end, if we want to keep them or not. That's the way I look at it. I'm not going to do anything drastic here. And yeah, we'll delay decisions. Just delay everything at this point in the season. So yeah, shall we? Yeah, we'll accept Les Reed as our director of football. And so we're all set. Cistaro, Armando Cistaro, who we're hoping to get in as a head physio, 20 physio, good mentals. I like him as a head physio, seemed to be a good pick. And Brian Klug has been recently hired. Does this change your job at all? Not at all, because he thinks the same way as I do. I'm quite excited. He's very good at what he does, and that's it. Oh, not another one. Leslie, oh, stop it. And I'm quite excited. He's very good at what he does. The paper is full of, like the BBC, full of repeats. So we'll move on, and hopefully we can find this friendly. One of the problems that I have, Josh Cullen in as the DLP, I think that's probably a good move from what I can remember. Where is Josh Cullen? Yeah, I think as I remember, that is probably a good move. He is not a bad little DLP. Passing 14, vision 11. Maybe I'm not so sure. Let's start him off there anyway. Who doesn't really matter who starts. And we're just going to a competition to scout. Europa Conference League 3-star competition. Yeah, let's do it. To give someone a job to do. Finally my tactic has shown up. So I want a striker. And I'm always looking for fullbacks, and I'm also looking for a ball-playing defender. And while we're at it, let's look for a better DLP. Yeah, why not? And I'm looking for cheap first-team players. It's no good looking for loans because I'm booked up with loans. And go 15 to 25 again. And we'll look in... Let's look in... Now, let's just look... For the time being, I'm going to stick looking to the UK and Ireland. When I look at my Italian boys off camera, I will probably... who's this? John McGlynn? Is he important to us? Oh, probably not. So, 120%. But it's been accepted. We've obviously got a loan manager who's accepted 20. I wouldn't have accepted 20% for him. But he's obviously happy to do that. Upsetting the board. Training. More players have trained badly than have trained well. This team needs to be shaken up a little bit. Recruit. Does anybody attend? Okay, STS. The stream will probably end after the game anyway. Really good to have you here, mate. And thanks for everything you've done. It's been absolutely awesome, mate. Welcome back, Alex. You're in the training screen. There are coaching assignments. I was wondering what Klug's star rating in that was. Don't know. I'll have to have a look. But I still think he's an exceptional player, exceptional staff member. I think, as somebody said earlier, I think he could probably just about do any of the jobs in the back room quite well. I'd be perfectly happy with him as an assistant manager. My question was going to be, does anybody actually attend the recruitment meetings? Anybody? I wonder, because I really have no interest in going to those meetings. It might get me into trouble, But and then if I have to go, I'll go. But I have absolutely no interest. It's a total waste of time. And he's agreed to leave the club. Who is he? He's a goalkeeper. He's not very good, so that's okay. There's been obviously a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes before I arrived, and he's been loaned out, and now we are going to come and play a football match. I'm going to go run with the team that we've selected. We're keeping it, as you can see, very, very basic, and we're going to keep an eye on it. We don't know anything about this opposition, but I do have a favoured way of dealing with them. I like the wing back on the right or the full back on the right onto this left foot. The other side, I want to turn him onto his right foot. So I want them coming inside, not bombing up outside. And especially for this Burnley team, I do not want these geezers bombing up and down the wings. And with that in mind, we'll look at the tactic. I'm then just going to look. Usually I will tight mark both defensive midfielders. Let's try and take them out of the game. A lot of the problems will come from the defensive midfield. Let's try and get rid of that problem. In terms of their wingers, we don't really have much information on them. They're very strong, I know that. Don't have any information. They're not extremely pacey by the look of it, and their finishing isn't absolutely great. Nothing is known about them, so we'll just leave them blank, I think, at the moment. We really don't want to be closing this guy down, I don't think. He's very pacey. His finishing is actually very good, though. And then this geezer, not much known. So in terms of what we know about them, I'll just leave that and we'll tweak it as we go through the game. And I wonder, have I got sound on? I don't want sound on when I'm streaming, so we'll just check that. Because I've been playing the game myself, I put sound on, but no, we don't have streaming. I'm going to slow the match speed between highlights down because I need to be. I don't know anything about this team except that they are 3-star, which means they're pretty much the same as we are, and so we need to be very careful because they're as good as us. And so I want to keep an eye on the stats as we go through this game. Where does he get that from? Go hard when tackling? Nah, we'll think about that later. So tonight is all about Kevin Long. Well, yeah, no, I don't want to send him out like that, do we? Yeah, it's not really a big deal, this. But just go out and show me, give me a reason why to pick you. It's not really a big deal. It's kind of a contradiction, isn't it? And there is a highlight from the kickoff. I did have it on key highlights, didn't I? No, it's on extended. We can have it on key highlights, but I believe this is not a true representation of the game. And we are bringing it forward, and it is Cullen to Vitinho. Vitinho should be fairly wide on that side, and that's a nice ball into space. Can we get it into the box? Cullen with a beautiful pass. Lowton, and there's a shot over the bar. And this is the finishing. We need them to be much nearer to the goal taking shots. Their finishing is appalling. If I may be even looking for a striker who can finish, or somebody who can finish. At the moment, I'm looking at nothing much is happening in terms of the game at all. I tend to glance over at the passing stats. I'll keep an eye on the pass map so that I can identify areas of the pitch, and the match momentum is all with us. I also will be looking at this screen because I like to see who's tired, and that serves you well. If you pick out tired players, then you can change your tactic accordingly. We do have a corner, and it's been headed over. Finishing is obviously going to be a worry, isn't it? We're certainly in control. We've had most of the possession. I'd like a little bit more possession, so I need to keep an eye on that. And it might be that we're playing too wide at this point. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the possession, because I'd like a little bit more. I'd like it to be around 60 in a game like this. And Cork sitting at the base of the midfield there, he should be just passing short, doing the simple things. But that was quite a nice pass over to Zachary into the box. We must score this time. Again, we can't put it in. It's still 0-0, but I'm not too worried at this moment. Who doesn't? Yeah, meetings in FM are dreadful. They are just the most awful things. And yeah, I think I'd like to have a sausage roll in there myself. It's just like awful. What I hate at press conferences. Press conferences absolutely drive me nuts. And it's the same questions every single time. And it's like, please make it more interesting. Please. I can actually answer the questions without looking at the question. It's really funny. Let's get a goal here. Let's do something. I'm going to shout at them in a minute. They're just appalling. Oh dear. And he has actually put that in. Who's that? Lowton. What sort of a long shot has he got? Let's have a look at Lowton. Fullback. Just put him one of those in. What kind of a shot has he got? I think he's got 9 finishing, has he? That was a bit of a shot. And so, okay, we're 1-0 up. We're doing well. We're dominating the game. We are now up to the passing percentage that I wanted to. Our pass completion is not as high. And what I'm going to try here, because after 25 minutes... it's not actually working well enough for me. I'm going to get them to pass it slightly shorter, just to see if we can get our pass completion up a little bit more. I need it to be much more than 78%. The left-hand side is where we're going to have any threat, if there's any threat at all coming. But we are pretty much in control. The match momentum is saying that everything is working nicely. They are playing with a kind of low block system, and I'm expecting that they will come out of that at some point. They were obviously a bit more worried about us than I gave them credit for. This guy, João Gamboa, now I don't know much about him. Is he the corner taker? We don't know. We haven't seen them have a corner either, but he is a key figure in the game as well as Temmerman. So something that perhaps we need to keep an eye on. And in fact, what I will do is find out who he is. Gamboa, where is he playing? Where is Gamboa playing? And yeah, he is one of that pair. We don't know much about him though, but yeah, there's not much more I can do. We're supposed to be tight marking him anyway, but if he's still causing us problems later, I might have to set somebody on him. They haven't really had a shot on target in anger, so we're doing really well actually. We're just not scoring goals, and that's a function of our finishing. Switch from passing to set pieces to see who takes the corner. That's a good point. Can you get set pieces up? Yes, you can. Corners taken by Malinov. Okay, so it's not him. So he is quite a big figure in the game, and he needs like looking at, as well as this guy Hotziger. He's playing as an attacking midfield. Passing, we just don't know. He's got very, very good passing, so I'm going to assume that his vision is very good as well. Maybe we need to think about doing something with him. I don't know. We'll wait until half time, and then we'll make a decision on him. I think he's playing as the left winger. Hartziger. Oh, he's playing as an attacking mid. I really don't want them. I really don't want them conceding a goal because we missed something. Yeah, why don't we say this? You were playing lazily out there. You've not been good enough. Get your act together. Ooh, he got upset. And Zori got upset as well as Jack Cork. And well, it's true, they haven't been good enough. They need to up their game a little bit. And we have let them back into the game a little bit. And they're still pressing us. And I'm not too happy about it. And we'll give them a little bit of a shout. Demand more. It's a game that we should be winning. After all, it's FM, and FM kind of lets you win these games. But they have got a ball. It's into the box. They have scored. No, in fact, it's Burnley that have scored. And I thought, well, I was looking at the wrong team there for a moment. But we have made it 2-0. And now we're a bit more comfortable. But still, it's the finishing is a big worry. We're just like creating chances. We've got a good ratio on target. They're just not good enough at finishing. And maybe we do need to focus more on being defensively solid than an attacking team until we can sort out our finishers. Maybe we're just going to have 1-0, 2-0 games rather than be scoring and winning by 5 or 6-0. So something that we need to think about. I think also we need to think about some changes now because it's just pre-season, and let's bring some fresh legs on because we've probably got some tired players here. Let's bring on Jordan Bayer, shall we? Or who's this then? Charlie Taylor. Let's bring you on. And we're looking for another right back. Harwood Bellis can come in here. He is an attacking midfield right. Inside forward on the left. Let's bring him on as an inside forward on the left. And I think it's actually strengthening the team, all the reserves coming on. Bastian, where's his best position? Probably bring him on as the DLP. Give him a run out. Brownhill. We're looking at Goodmanson possibly coming on the right. Yep, that looks good to me. Striker, do we have a striker? Let's bring on Jay Rodriguez as our striker. Teller. He can't come on. I'm looking for a midfielder, box to box. And have we got anybody? Maybe Churlinov. Can you play as a box to box? Nah. We're a bit short in midfield by the look of it. So we'll probably let that run. We've pretty much changed everybody now. Josh Brownhill. Bastian, I thought he'd just come on. Bit short in midfield. Egan Riley can come on here as the ball winner. And if we have a look at his tackling, he's a fullback mostly, but he can play as a ball winner. Good tackling and very decent decisions. I trust him as a ball winner in there. Let's just run with that for now until someone gets very tired, and we'll see where we are after that. And it's these games always worth looking at. And I know a lot of people don't play the games and just like simulate the first couple of months, but I just look at them. You're learning so much about how each player plays within the system, and I will when the game clock ticks over into Sunday, I'll sit down and I'll have a look at the stats, see who did well, see who's like a fish out of water, see who didn't play well, why they didn't play well. And there's somebody who's not playing very well, and we have let them in and they have scored, and not too happy about that defending. Who was that? Lowton. After he scored the Lowton, was it Lowton? His pass? No, it wasn't Lowton. It was Harwood Bellis. But actually, you can't blame Harwood Bellis. It actually probably came, the pass to him from Brownhill or Bastian was not very good. And I don't know, do I have anybody who can come on and fill in these roles? I don't. They're just going to have to see the game out. They're not looking particularly tired, so hopefully they'll be okay. The goal we've given away, it's not because they're creating anything notable, it's because it was a dreadful error. But we're still 2-1 in front. I think what I've seen enough now of the stats, we can speed that up. I could just keep an eye on it in terms of who's causing us problems, and I can glance around. I don't think that we're going to lose this now. I think that Kevin Long is a bit tired. What's happened to him? Do I have a central defender who can come on here? Yeah, we'll bring him on at central defence. Got a bit of pace. He'll be all right. And the game is petering out. It's 2-1. And finishing was poor. 21 shots, 9 on target. Finishing, we saw from the comparison. See you later, Alex. See you later. We saw from the comparison earlier on that finishing and composure were pretty poor. So we didn't play well as we can, but I'm happy with the result. We got to remember they are not a bad team. Whoever they are not a bad team. Well, I think we've done quite a bit in terms of advancing this team. We know a lot more about them. I know that defensively we can build a very solid defensive team. Hey Fran, how are you doing? Nice to have you on board. You've just made it to the end of the stream, because I think after doing that we've been going now for about an hour and a half, and I'm getting old and it's past my bedtime, and I'm learning and still trying to get better at doing this, and so we've learned a little bit more about Burnley. Well, a lot more. We know that they're good defensively, that they're brilliant passers of the ball, that they are poor in terms of finishing. So we really need to be focused on the midfield, and that's where we need to be playing most of our football, is in the middle of the field. We can build a solid defence, a good passing midfield. We'll win football matches, but we are not going to win by 10 goals to nil or 6-0 or 7-0. We just don't have the technical ability in terms of scoring goals. Sad, but true. Unless I can find someone really cheap in the transfer window and find someone who's got 15 finishing, 14 composure and great pace and off the ball, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to find those boys. So I will actually study all the stats. I'll go in and have a look at that off camera. I'm sure that you guys don't want to plow through all this data. But I think it's really a very important thing to do, is even if you skim through it, is to have a look at how they played. Does this fit your game plan? And in terms of our passing, it's nothing really stands out to me. There was some very, it was terrible, to be quite frank. It just doesn't look pretty, and there's an imbalance down the left. The right centre back's hardly involved in the game. I wonder if it got better in the second half. It got even worse in the second half. It was totally out of shape. There was no involvement from these three in midfield, and in fact, he's far too wide. Josh Brownhill is playing more like a Mazzala than he is a centre mid on attack. He should be much more central, supporting the forward, linking up with the forward. There's a lot to think about, and I will go through all this. We could look at our crossing. Crosses completed, 6. 3 from the left. These 2 here are corners. So we did manage to cross 3 times and complete crosses 3 times. No assists, though, came from crosses. We're not very good at crossing, and it showed. And Hi, Stefan. Yeah, you just made it. You just made it to the end. So I will go through all these things. We're shooting from way too far outside the box, and maybe these guys need to be a little bit more disciplined, need to follow the game plan. Maybe we need to be thinking about that in terms of the tactic. Maybe right at this point in time they're not used to playing as I want them to play, so we might have to tell them to do as they're told. And until they get used to playing this way, they're clearly not familiar with it, so they're probably trying things that they're not familiar with. We do need to play out of defense, and maybe now at the start of this be a little bit more disciplined. I don't know. It's a start. We've won our first two games in pre-season. We're not doing morale any harm, and we're learning about this team, and we're starting to figure out where we need to improve. I'm sorry it was in 720p tonight, guys. I hope that 720p was okay for you. It's great, though, that I can see all the chat. I've just got to get used to looking over a little bit more. And it's great to see all these familiar faces, people that I feel that I've got to know. And it's really lovely to see you all, Alex and STS and Stefan, Fran, all you people that have followed along, and I've got to know you through the comments. It's great to have you here and to interact with you live. It's just a shame that you guys haven't got microphones. I wonder if that would happen one day when everybody could just be chatting via a microphone. That would be so cool. So yeah, it's been a fairly productive week or so in the life of Burnley. We are taking this, the idea of this is that we are taking it very, very slow. And when I play personal saves, I'm into detail. I want to get under the bonnet. I want to find out about things. I'm not just going to set a tactic up, download a tactic and set it up and then go off and let them do their thing and then hope it'll be okay. I think if you've been following along at Preston, you'll see I'm very, very keen on making decisions in game. And the one against Fulham was really interesting because we were 2-0 up and pretty much cruising. But then about 70 minutes or so, I decided, I saw that the right back was absolutely exhausted and out on his feet, just glancing at their team shape. So yeah, let's play it down the left. Let's hit him hard. And we won 4-0 in the end with 2 late goals. And basically because this left back here got caught out twice. So I'm very much into making changes. And one of the questions that always gets said is, like, asked in various forums, is the game scripted? No, it isn't, because I can go into matches and change a game just by doing something like that. In tomorrow's episode, you're going to see the QPR game, which is very, very interesting as well. And I made a lot of decisions at half-time in that game. So really, really interesting video tomorrow coming out where I accuse the game, in a sense, of cheating. And I've always had a big issue with that part of the game. And I think FM need to sort it out, because it does feel to me like they deliberately do something because you cannot do anything about it. And watch that video to find out what I'm talking about tomorrow. I think it's been a fairly decent episode. I've learned a little bit more about the club. I will keep learning as we go through pre-season, and I'm pretty sure that by the time we get to our first game, they'll be in reasonably good shape. They won't be in the best shape that I've ever seen, but they'll be in reasonably good shape, and we probably will have a good start to the season. Okay, guys, thank you very, very much. And hi, surprisingly, you're just catching us at the end of the stream. So sorry. Thank you very much, Masupilami. You guys have got names like my team. I can't pronounce my team's names, and now you're coming into chat with names like we got here Romanes. Is it Romanes? And Zikovic, Fran Zikovic. It's like playing Football Manager. But nice. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And I hope you all have a good rest. And night, Gobby. Good to have you along. Nice to see you. And hopefully you might get a few visitors. I hope so. Share the love. That's what I say. And thank you all. Once again, thank you. We'll be streaming again on Thursday at the same time at 8:30. If you want to pop along on Thursday, we're hopefully by the end of Thursday going to have got this team into really good shape, and I'm going to know very much more about how I want them to play and the philosophy that they're capable of following. Thanks for coming, guys. Have a great night, and I'm off now for a nice cup of tea and maybe a sausage roll. And I'll see you all hopefully next time.